Hello, friends! Welcome back to my channel Spoken Pronunciation. Today, I want to share something very special with you, my story of learning English. This is not just a story, it's my personal journey, full of ups and downs, mistakes, and successes. When I first started learning English, I felt like I was standing at the bottom of a huge mountain, looking up at the peak. It seemed impossible to reach the top. I made so many mistakes along the way. There were times when I felt embarrassed, frustrated, and even wanted to give up. But you know what? Those mistakes became my greatest teachers. Every time I stumbled, I learned something new. Every time I fell, I got back up stronger. And today, I can proudly say that I've climbed that mountain. I've reached a point where I can speak English confidently, and it has completely changed my life. But here's the best part. I didn't do it by spending hours studying grammar rules or memorizing long lists of words. Instead, I made English a part of my daily life. I found ways to learn that were natural, fun, and enjoyable. I'll take you through every step of my journey, the challenges I faced, the techniques I used, and the tips that made all the difference. Whether you're just starting out or you've been learning English for a while, I hope my story will inspire you and give you practical ideas to improve your own English skills. So, let's dive into the details and explore how I turned my struggles into success. Are you ready? Let's begin. My story: why I decided to learn English. A few years ago, I moved to New York. Back then, I didn't know much English. I could say basic things like hello, thank you, and goodbye, but that was it. I remember my first day in the city. It was a mix of excitement and fear. I was in a new place, surrounded by new people, and everything felt so different. I felt completely lost. I couldn't read the signs on the streets or in the subway. I couldn't understand what people were saying, even when they spoke slowly. Even something as simple as ordering food felt like a huge challenge. I would walk into a restaurant, look at the menu, and feel overwhelmed because I didn't know what half of the words meant. One day, I was at a coffee shop and I wanted to order a latte, but I didn't know how to say it. I just pointed at the menu and said, "This, please." The barista smiled and handed me my coffee. That small moment made me realize something important. I needed to learn English to feel more confident and independent. I didn't want to feel lost anymore. I didn't want to rely on pointing or gestures to communicate. I wanted to be able to express myself clearly and understand others without struggling. So, I decided to take action. But I didn't want to follow the traditional method of studying grammar and memorizing rules. I had tried that before, and it didn't work for me. Instead, I wanted to learn English in a way that felt natural and fun. I wanted to make it a part of my daily life, not just something I did in a classroom or with a textbook. I started small. I learned a few new words every day and tried to use them in real-life situations. It wasn't easy at first, but over time, I started to see progress. I felt more confident, and I could communicate better with the people around me. If you're just starting your English learning journey, remember this: every expert was once a beginner. Don't be afraid to take that first step, no matter how small. Start by learning a few basic words, and soon, you'll see how those small steps lead to big progress. You've got this! That's how my journey began, and I'm excited to share the rest of it with you. Let me tell you about the first big step I took in my English learning journey, starting small. I knew I couldn't learn everything at once, so I decided to take it one step at a time. Every day, I would learn just 5 new words. I bought a small notebook and carried it with me everywhere. Whenever I learned a new word, I wrote it down along with its meaning and an example sentence. For example, if I learned the word happy, I would write, word happy, meaning feeling good or joyful. Example, sentence, I am happy today because the weather is nice. Then, I would try to use that word in a real sentence. If I learned the word bus, I would say, I take the bus to work every day. At first, it was hard to remember the words. Some days, I would forget them by the next morning. But I didn't give up. I kept practicing. Every morning, I would open my notebook and review the words I had learned the day before. I would say them out loud and try to use them in new sentences. For example, if I had learned the word grocery, I would say, I need to buy groceries today. Then, I would imagine myself at the store, saying that sentence to the cashier. One day, I actually went to the store and said, I need to buy groceries. The cashier smiled and said, Sure, let me help you. That small interaction made me feel so proud. It was a simple sentence, but it was a big step for me. It showed me that I could communicate in English, even if it was just a few words at a time. Over time, those 5 words a day started to add up. My notebook filled up with new words, and I began to feel more confident using them in real-life situations. Starting small was the key to my success. It helped me build a strong foundation without feeling overwhelmed, and it showed me that even small steps can lead to big progress. If you're feeling overwhelmed, start small like I did. Learn just 5 words a day, use them in sentences, and watch how your vocabulary grows. Consistency is key, and every word you learn brings you closer to fluency. Keep going, you're doing great. Using English in real-life situations. Learning new words was a great start, but I quickly realized that it wasn't enough. If I wanted to truly improve my English, I needed to use those words in real-life situations. So, I made a decision. I would start talking to people whenever I got the chance. At first, this was really scary. I was nervous about making mistakes or saying something wrong. But I knew I had to push myself out of my comfort zone if I wanted to improve. I started small. At the park, I would say hello to people walking their dogs. I would smile and say, "Good morning," or "Your dog is so cute." Most people smiled back and said hello. Some even stopped to chat for a few minutes. Those small conversations made me feel more confident. In stores, I would try to talk to the cashiers. Instead of just saying thank you, I would ask, "How is your day going?" Or, "Is it busy today?" At the bus stop, I would strike up a conversation with someone waiting for the bus. I would say things like, "The bus is late today, isn't it?" Or, "Do you take this bus often?" At first, I was really nervous. My heart would race, and I would stumble over my words. I made a lot of mistakes, but people were kind and patient. For example, one day, I was at the store and I said, "I go to store yesterday." The person I was talking to smiled and gently corrected me. They said, "It should be, I went to the store yesterday." I didn't feel embarrassed. Instead, I felt grateful. I took out my notebook and wrote down the correction. Mistake, I go to store yesterday. Correction, I went to the store yesterday. Then, I practiced saying the correct sentence over and over until it felt natural. Those small corrections helped me learn so much. Every time someone corrected me, I felt like I was taking one more step forward. Over time, I started to feel more comfortable talking to people. I wasn't as nervous anymore, and I made fewer mistakes. Those real-life conversations taught me more than any textbook ever could. They showed me how to use English in everyday situations, and they helped me build my confidence. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start speaking English. Use it in real life, even if it's just saying hello to someone or asking a simple question. Every conversation is a chance to learn and grow. So, go out there and start talking. You'll be amazed at how much you can improve. Those small conversations can make a big difference. They helped me improve my English, and they can help you too. Watching movies and TV shows. Yes, one of the best things I did to improve my English was watching movies and TV shows. At first, I thought it would just be a fun way to pass the time, but it turned out to be one of the most effective methods for learning. I started by turning on subtitles in English. This helped me connect the spoken words with their written form. As I watched, I listened carefully to how the actors spoke. I paid attention to their pronunciation, tone, and the way they used everyday phrases. Then, I tried something called shadowing. This is when you pause the video, repeat what the actors say, and try to copy their pronunciation exactly. For example, if a character said, "How's it going?" I would pause the video, repeat the sentence, and try to say it the same way they did. At first, it felt a little strange, but over time, it became a fun challenge. I would practice the same sentence over and over until I got it right. I watched a lot of sitcoms. These shows were perfect because the characters spoke naturally, and they used a lot of everyday phrases. For example, I learned phrases like, "How's it going?" "What's up?" "I'll be there in a minute." "That's what she said." These phrases might seem simple, but they're used all the time in real conversations. I also watched YouTube videos about topics I was interested in, like cooking, travel, and fitness. This made learning English even more enjoyable because I was learning about things I loved. For example, I would watch cooking videos and learn words like whisk, simmer, and garnish. Then, I would try to use those words when I cooked at home. Watching movies, TV shows, and YouTube videos has helped me in so many ways. First, it improved my listening skills. I got used to hearing different accents and speeds of speaking, which made understanding people a lot easier. Second, it boosted my vocabulary. I picked up new words and phrases naturally because I was learning them in context. Third, it helped me with my pronunciation. By shadowing or repeating what I heard, I started sounding more natural when I spoke. And finally, it gave me a better understanding of culture. I learned about humor, expressions, and cultural references that I wouldn't have known otherwise. The best part? It never felt like studying. It felt like entertainment. And that's exactly what made it so effective. If you're learning English, I highly recommend trying this method. Pick a movie, TV show, or YouTube channel that you enjoy. Turn on subtitles and start shadowing. You'll be surprised at how much you can learn while having fun. And who knows? You might even find a new favorite show along the way. Thinking in English. Another thing that made a huge difference in my English learning journey was thinking in English. At first, this idea seemed a little strange to me. I was so used to thinking in my native language and then translating my thoughts into English. But I realized that translating every thought was slowing me down. It made speaking English feel like a puzzle I had to solve every time I opened my mouth. So, I decided to try something new. I started thinking directly in English. For example, if I was hungry, instead of thinking in my native language and then translating, I would think, "I want to eat pizza." At first, it was really hard. my thoughts were very simple and short. I would think things like, I am tired, or I need water. But I didn't give up. I kept practicing every day. I would look at things around me and try to describe them in English in my mind. For example, if I was sitting in a park, I would think, the sky is blue. The trees are green. The children are playing. These were simple sentences, but they helped me get used to thinking in English. Over time, my thoughts became more detailed. Instead of thinking, I am tired, I started thinking, I am tired because I worked all day and didn't get enough sleep. This shift made a big difference in how I spoke English. When I thought in English, I didn't have to translate in my head anymore. This made speaking much easier and faster. I also started doing this with my daily routines. For example, while brushing my teeth, I would think, I need to brush for 2 minutes. While cooking, I would think, I need to chop the vegetables and boil the water. While walking, I would think, I'm walking to the store to buy milk. These small practices helped me build the habit of thinking in English. At first, it felt a little awkward, like I was talking to myself in my head. But over time, it became natural. Thinking in English also helped me with my confidence. When I spoke, I didn't hesitate as much because the words were already in my mind. If you're learning English, I encourage you to try this method. Start small. Think simple thoughts in English, like, I am hungry or it's a sunny day. Then, gradually make your thoughts more detailed. For example, instead of thinking, I'm happy, think, I am happy because I finished my work early. This technique might feel challenging at first, but with practice, it will become second nature. And the best part? It's something you can do anytime, anywhere, while walking, cooking, or even waiting for the bus. Thinking in English changed the way I speak and understand the language. It made me feel more connected to English, and I hope it can do the same for you. Making friends and practicing speaking. Another big step in my English learning journey was making friends who spoke English. I realized that if I wanted to improve my speaking skills, I needed to practice with real people in real conversations. So, I started reaching out to people who spoke English. Some were native speakers, and others were learners like me. We would meet for coffee, go for walks, or just hang out at the park. These casual meetups became my favorite way to practice speaking. One of my closest friends was a native English speaker named Nabila, and she was patient, kind, and always willing to help me improve. Whenever I made a mistake, she would gently correct me. For example, once I said, I have 25 years, and she smiled and said, it should be, I am 25 years old. At first, I felt a little embarrassed, but Nabila always made me feel comfortable. She explained that mistakes are a natural part of learning, and she encouraged me to keep trying. I took her advice seriously. I wrote down the correction in my notebook. Mistake. I have 25 years. Correction. I am 25 years old. Then, I practiced saying the correct sentence over and over until it felt natural. Nabila also helped me with other common mistakes. For example, she taught me to say, I have a question, instead of, I have a doubt. She explained the difference between fun and funny. She showed me how to use phrases like, by the way, and, on the other hand. These small corrections made a big difference in my speaking. But it wasn't just about correcting mistakes. Nabila also encouraged me to express myself more confidently. She would ask me questions like, what do you think about this? How was your day? What are your plans for the weekend? These conversations helped me practice speaking in a natural, relaxed way. Over time, I started to feel more comfortable speaking English. I wasn't as nervous anymore, and I made fewer mistakes. Making friends who spoke English gave me the opportunity to practice regularly. It also helped me learn about different cultures and perspectives. If you're learning English, I encourage you to find people to practice with. It could be a friend, a language partner, or even someone you meet online. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. And remember, most people are kind and willing to help. Those conversations with Nabila and my other friends were some of the most valuable parts of my English learning journey. They helped me improve my speaking skills, build my confidence, and make lasting friendships. So, go out there, make friends, and start practicing. You'll be amazed at how much you can learn from each conversation. Reading books and articles. Reading was another important part of my English learning journey. At first, I was intimidated by the idea of reading in English. I thought I wouldn't understand anything, and it would be too hard. But I decided to start small. I began with simple books and articles that were easy to understand. One of the first books I read was The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss. The rhymes and colorful illustrations made it fun and engaging. Then, I moved on to Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. This book had a beautiful story and simple language, which helped me learn new words and phrases. As I got more comfortable, I started reading short stories and news articles. I would choose topics that interested me, like travel, health, and technology. For example, I read articles about healthy eating and learned words like nutritious, balanced diet, and hydration. Reading helped me in so many ways. First, vocabulary. I learned new words and saw how they were used in sentences. Second, grammar. I noticed how sentences were structured and how grammar rules were applied. And final, confidence. The more I read, the more confident I felt about my English skills. I also made it a habit to write down new words and their meanings in my notebook. Then, I would try to use those words in my own sentences. This practice helped me remember the words and use them correctly. Reading became a daily habit for me. Even if I only read for 10 minutes a day, it made a big difference over time. Again, I encourage you to start reading. Choose books or articles that interest you, and don't worry if you don't understand every word. The more you read, the better you'll get. And who knows? You might discover a new favorite book along the way. Staying consistent and motivated. Learning English wasn't easy, but I stayed consistent. I knew that if I wanted to improve, I had to practice every day, even if it was just for 10 minutes. Some days, I felt tired or busy, but I reminded myself that even a little practice was better than none. I also stayed motivated by setting small, achievable goals. For example, my first goal was to order food in English without pointing at the menu. I practiced the sentences I would need, like, "Can I have a latte, please?" "I would like the chicken sandwich." "Can I get this to go?" When I finally did it, I felt so proud of myself. My next goal was to have a 5-minute conversation with someone. I practiced with my friends and language partners, and each conversation helped me improve. Every time I achieved a goal, I celebrated my progress. Sometimes, I would treat myself to something small, like a coffee or a new book. These small victories kept me motivated and reminded me why I was working so hard. My advice for you: if you're learning English, here's what I'd suggest. Start small. Pick up a few new words every day. Write them down, use them in sentences, and make sure to revisit them often. Next, bring English into your daily life. Talk to people, watch movies, read books, anything that gets you using the language. The more you immerse yourself, the more comfortable it'll start to feel. Here's a tip. Try thinking in English. Instead of translating from your native language, start forming simple thoughts directly in English. Over time, you can build on that and make your thoughts more detailed. And don't worry about making mistakes. They're part of the process. Every error is a chance to learn and grow. Most importantly, stay consistent. Even if it's just a few minutes a day, practice regularly. Consistency is what will help you improve over time. Remember, learning English is a journey, not a race. Take it step by step and don't be too hard on yourself. What you're doing is incredible. Learning a new language is no small feat. Every little effort you make brings you closer to your goal. I hope my story and advice motivate you to keep going. Believe in yourself. You've got this. That's my story. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Looking back, I can see how far I've come. From struggling to order a coffee to having full conversations in English, every step of this journey has been a learning experience. Today, I can confidently say that I've improved a lot, and I'm proud of the progress I've made. The best part? I didn't spend hours studying grammar rules or memorizing textbooks. Instead, I made English a part of my everyday life. I learned by doing, by talking to people, watching movies, reading books, and thinking in English. I turned everyday moments into opportunities to practice, and that's what made all the difference. If you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what part of my story resonated with you the most. Did you try any of the tips I shared? How did it go? And if you have your own tips or experiences, please share them too. Learning is always better when we do it together. Your advice might help someone else who's on the same journey. Thank you so much for watching. Your support means the world to me, and I'm so grateful to have you here. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more tips and stories about learning English. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll dive into even more ways to make learning English fun and effective. Until then, keep practicing, stay curious, and remember, every small step you take brings you closer to your goal. You've got this. See you soon.